Welcome back, Dota 2 fans. It's our third best of one of the day Boston Major Main Qualifiers America's Line 2. Friendship, Dedication, and Love, FDL, just took a very crucial blow on their way to the playoffs. They are still sitting pretty at 3-1 in second place, tied with NP currently, but they did take a loss to Team Freedom in their last game, putting Team Freedom 3-2. So definitely a tight race in the top four. ProDotA currently sitting on 4 losses, so the best they can finish with is 3 wins. So they are going to have to hope for some help, but of course beating FDL here would put FDL at 3-2, which would put the pressure on FDL to win their remaining games versus Complexity and NP. So 2 very losable games coming up for FDL after this one, which could mean they tie with ProDotA, and then ProDotA would have the head-to-head against them. So this is a very, very important game for the Oracle himself, Snan King, and his squad. But essentially, they win here. ProDotA is mathematically eliminated. ProDotA need to win out all 3 of their, or all 2, both, sorry, I should say both of their 2 remaining games in order to be in the running at all. And like I said, they are going to need some help. So they're going to pick up the Sand King here for MJW. In the off lane, presumably, and Vengeful Spirit. Take that away from the Drow lineup. Necessarily don't know if it's really a first phase worthy hero, even in FDL's capable hands, but Drow Ranger is going to make it through the pool because of the Kefka targeted Bat Rider ban, who ProDotA very much so love to pick up, and they'll also steal away the Sand King that Kefka loves to play. Mirana, generally strong hero. The OD ban as well is a fairly common one. Still a Shadow Demon in the pool. At this point, Kunkka there as well. Definitely don't want to be giving Kunkka over to FDL if you're ProDotA side, and even so, the reverse is somewhat true, considering now that the Undying comes into play. There is no one right now who's able to deal with this Tombstone. I mean, Sand King is not going to be right-clicking at range. Vengeful Spirit, very gimp, although a ranged hero, a very gimp, a very short range on her attack, so she's unable to really deal with the Tombstone. And you know, you drop the Tombstone down and you have Drow right-clicking away on your towers, you are going to either force a fight or a trade across the map from FDL's side. And FDL, they've assembled a lineup thus far that does want to fight with the Venge and the Sand King. Sure, they can take roast decently with the Venge, pending the picks on the cores, and maybe even take a look at buildings. But for now, ProDotA certainly has the edge in pushing. So you want to be able to fight into them, and Undying is a hero that makes that very difficult to do. PA ban, Slardar ban from ProDotA and Friendship, Dedication, Love, respectively. Slardar, another big pickup. So I would say the 3 probably most common heroes for Kefka, you know, with the fall of the Darkseer recently, are definitely Bat Rider, Sand King, and Slardar. So we'll see what direction they go for him. Timbersaw is also an honorable mention in that front. But it looks like the Undying could go into Kefka's hands here, pending the picks going forward. But again, guys, very big game for ProDotA, big game as well for FDL, as FTL after this game have Complexity and NP as their opponents. So the top 2 teams right now in the group are their opponents upcoming. So this is a very big win for them to find, to secure themselves what is likely going to be a top 4 finish with 4 wins. Faceless Void going to be the ban from FDL. And Terrorblade ban actually comes out. Freedom was just able to overtake FDL with a Terrorblade pick in the previous game. So certainly something that's on their radar, and something that they'll take out pool for now for ProDotA. He is a hero that can, without major risk, you know, throw some illusions at the Tombstone. And he is going to build into Dragonlance typically, so can hit it from range. Can also be that hero I talked about, either finding trades or team fighting into the Drow lineup. And Terrorblade potentially is a hero that can find trades against structures against a Drow Ranger. So it looks like FDL, because of that ban, will go former route in team fight. Warlock, Sand King already assembled here. Very potent team fight lineup. We saw Complexity succeed earlier on today with the Warlock in their hands. Beastmaster in the offlane to combo it up with, but Certainly a hero that's coming back into favor and really been given some more respect as of recent times. So FDL will be able to pick that up here, either for Stand King or 0-4. We'll see what direction ProDotA goes in. Still a lot available to them. They have the Shadow Demon potentially if they want to go for that disruption. Can allow you to just walk on top and pincer someone in with a Tombstone, which is very potent, of course. But they're gonna go for the Witch Doctor for now. It's a bit of a rough Witch Doctor game. Burrow Strike, especially with an Ags at some point. Swap, Magic Missile, Chaotic Offering, all of these able to cancel up the Death Ward, but you're not picking this hero for the Death Ward necessarily. Look for a lot of skill points in Voodoo Restoration this game. They're going to be assembling a push lineup with the Drow. Witch Doctor has great base damage as well in lane. With the Precision Aura, makes him quite a presence in the way of zoning heroes out. You know, just able to freely throw that cask and a couple of right clicks. Actually does a deceptive amount of damage. I really do like that pickup from ProDotA. Is a bit squishy, but should have a good front line with the Undying. Axe out of the pool, Slardar, Bat Rider, Void even out of the pool, so ProDotA are going to be a bit hard pressed to find some frontliners for this lineup. Maybe have them take a look at the Centaur at some point. Especially against the Warlock, you want to be able to just, and even the Sand King to some extent, you want to be able to disengage. These are two cooldown dependent heroes for FDL side. So Stampede being, you know, half the cooldown of those couple of spells, roughly, can be a big win for ProDotA if they're able to just use that to back out and then fight once again when those cooldowns are not available. So Beastmaster actually going to come in just like Complexity did earlier today. For FDL, they can run this, of course, out of the jungle. They can put the Warlock in the mid lane. So a lot of possibilities in terms of lane versatility here.
10 seconds remaining.
But we've got to see 2 cores out of these 4 heroes.
5 seconds remaining.
Or at least, you know, Venge solo support, Beastmaster jungle, and the Sand King in the off lane. But, however,
Radiant team back.
None of these heroes are great in the mid lane. I mean, I feel like you could even throw Drow mid lane and she wins lane against any of these heroes thus far. It'll be interesting to see how FDL end up laning this. Tidehunter is going to be the pick for ProDotA. I talked about the Centaur. He's going to serve a similar purpose. Will be a bit of a tanky laner who can jump in the front lines. Doesn't care all that much about the big single target stun in Primal Roar, as Kraken Shell will purge that off, you know, at some point during its duration. So I really like the Tide pick here from ProDotA, and it is going to mean Undying more than likely will be in the support role. Really curious as to where FDL is going with this pick. That being the Beastmaster. I guess it means that Warlock has to be in this mid lane.
Reserve time.
Sand King's a decent mid laner. I mean, you have the ability to shove the wave with Caustic Finale under the tower, make it a bit difficult to last hit. But ProDotA, they are going to go for the Deusa here. Lincoln Sphere Builder, good against the Primal Roar. There's no possibility really for an anti-mage here. Doesn't feel like, anyways.
10 seconds remaining.
Oh, they banned it out. Derp. So Medusa should have a good lane. I mean, there's, you know, potentially a Queen of Pain and you just go full on into the 5-on-5, but even then, it does feel difficult for them to deal with this Tombstone. Maybe you go Lycan here? Lycan with the Beastmaster, double Necro Books. You can find trades if you need to. You can fight. You've also got some mana burn from the Necro Books.
5 seconds remaining.
He can outrun the Stone Gaze. Alright, so they'll do Juggernaut. Kind of similar in the sense that, you know, he can back away from the Stone Gaze. You know, phase spin away. Stone Gaze, of course, piercing spell immunity, but it will allow him to walk away in the sense that nothing else can ensnare him that ProDotA have while the Stone Gaze is active. But is going to be up in the mid lane against a Medusa. It's going to be a fairly difficult lane for 747, although I would give him the edge in terms of individual skill against Pingvinchek. So this will be a very interesting one. I really gotta say I favor ProDotA's draft in some respects, but MJW on the Beastmaster certainly can make this work. It looks like it's going to be a one-position Venge or FDL side, so that's kind of the one scenario that I failed to mention in the draft, is that this Venge could be a one-position, and Bisa is going to be the one
Prepare for battle.
picking it up. Are they considering aggressive lanes here? I feel like Tide versus anyone in a 1v1 is slated to do well. Beastmaster generally dominates 1v1 melee matchups, but Tide can hold his own in that lane, and Bisa plays the carry from Come With Me. And he's on the Vengeful Spirit, which is why there's a little bit of banter coming out, but oh, 4 ping. Be in a good position to pop this smoke here and mix it back down towards the east. Meanwhile, Kefka has a ward on his person, thinking about where he wants it.
30 seconds.
Up on the high ground is a bit of a difficult kill, so feeling relatively safe here. Cliff going to be warded up. No real junglers on ProDotA's side. They can stack up for the Medusa a little bit, but other than that. So Pingvinchek will be picking the Drow up, and it'll be Garter towards the safe lane on the Medusa. So, as I touched upon, even I think it was three, maybe 4. Yeah, 4 picks in when we knew that 2 of the cores were of the subset of heroes before the Juggernaut pick. That Drow can definitely go mid lane and win her matchup versus any of the heroes that FDL can pick up, and they do end up going for the Juggernaut, which being a melee matchup is going to help out Drow. So as long as she has some decent high ground vision, currently the Radiant have that advantage in mid lane, but she is going to drop one now as I say that. So as long as she has some high ground vision to see some impending rotations, it feels like Ping should have a good time in this lane.
Not this time.
Does have a bit of a crappy attack animation, the Drow Ranger, but wrapping around top lane, Biver. Okay, onto MJW. 04 wisely splits off to the east so as not to give a cask a bouncing target. But will be forced out of lane because of it, and therefore MJW going to take a little bit of harass and going to be zoned out of the lane. Similarly, Kefka going to take a Shadow Word to the face, and not picking up that early point in Kraken Shell is going to hurt him in that respect.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
It feels like a relatively stagnant early. Not too much catch in the top lane, just a cask. MJW is going to catch one. A Mystic Snake is there as well. Some right clicks with the Precision Aura. They may just be able to bring him down. Burrow Strike is necessary from 04, and a salve up from MJW will keep him safe. So, nice reaction time from 04. Wanted to hold that if he could, but ends up needing to pop it, and will make the rotation, perhaps for the rune, just down into the river for the time being. Yeah, Biver is just a presence in this early game, and doesn't feel like anywhere they put 04 they can gain a massive advantage. They're going to be a bit of a tanky target towards the bot lane. Biver just going to body 04 out of this lane, and meanwhile, relatively relatively skew mid lane. Burrow Strike ensures 04 is going to pick up the invisibility rune, but Pingvinchek having a bit of a rough time against 7 in this mid lane. 11-2 on the Juggernaut to the 7-3 of his laning equivalent. They're going to do a bit of farming here. Stan King pokes away at him. Has that innate sort of stout shield with the Kraken Shell. Now Bisa going to rotate through. Is this really worth rotating out of lane? Both of them are going to get hit with the damage nerf coming out from the Anchor Smash, and Bisa, he's going to spend some time out of lane. He's going to miss, at least a couple, 1 or 2 CS at this point. He's sitting on 13 to the 14 of the Medusa, and it looks like he'll actually get back in lane in time to, well, get one of the 3, but at least gets the experience for the full wave. So doesn't look like it hurts or hinders Bisa all that much, but bodying off Kefka in the Tidehunter, who's gone towards the jungle, now picks up his set of boots and be able to just make it back to base as Biver farms up. Maybe this leaves an opening now for 04 and MJW, but MJW, he's retreated to the jungle with his Iron Talon. I'm just feeling like this lane is too darn difficult with the Undying nearby. 04 jumping forward, has a point in Caustic Finale, wanted to get a little explosion there, a couple CS, but CWM will back him out and zone him away. Ping starting to drag it back in the mid lane, 15 CS to the 19 of the Jug, as he picks up a couple more levels in that Precision Aura. Biver, bottom lane, chasing down Stan King's got the boots advantage, so we'll take a big hack at the Warlock, and now Kefka going to return himself to lane. Has a salve available, may want to give it to Biver, but 04 going to find a kill mid lane. It's like just a burrow spin, as 747 able to make it away, spin on cooldown. Apologies for missing that one, guys, but that is going to be your first blood spilled in the mid lane with FDL's rotation from their Sand King. Meanwhile, bottom lane, Tombstone is going to be taken down. Biver very tanky with the 4 decay buffs, but unable. And yeah, they don't show the damage, but probably just the spin into burrow. 747 able to net a kill. Point and Gust was available for the Drow, and Kefka in trouble now, bottom lane. And King looking to find the Shadow Word, unable to do so. Biver will back him out and force him to use it on himself, in fact. So he's going to be out of mana for the next little bit, which will, you know, facilitate some aggression from the duo of the Undying and Tidehunter. However, there is no mana for Tombstone, and the Tombstone is on cooldown for the next 25 seconds. So Biver just going to do a bit of trading. 04 rotating in, trying to use that extra regen from the fountain to find the stun onto Biver, but he will be able to make it out in due time. Picks himself up an Illusion Rune on the way, why not? But that's going to force him out of lane for a bit, and seems as if, you know, the time Biver spends in the bottom lane actually ends up hurting ProDotA overall. They effectively zone MJW and 04 out of lane, top lane, but 04's rotation down to the bottom does net the first blood in the mid lane. And rotation down to the bottom, excuse me, defends up his Warlock and Stan King from going out. Again, nighttime under the cover of smoke, FDL has 04 up in the mid lane. His smoke did pop, but it's very unlikely. Oh yeah, Ping does have the ward, so certainly did catch a glimpse of this Sand King. Who now makes his way back down to the bottom lane. Can have a set of arcane boots relatively shortly. Biver gonna make his way out towards the rune, and now towards mid goes 04. Come with me though, he's waiting already for this to happen. He's gonna throw the cask out onto 747. Gust is there as well. Nicely played by that ProDotA duo, but the Omni Slash will find a kill, and unfortunate that they don't get the proper bounce onto a creep. A little bit of fortune for 747 as rotating in his Garter, but even with the phase boots, is he really fast enough to chase down 747? Not. The answer is definitely no, now that he has an invisibility rune. So interesting rotation in from Garter. I mean, he had no catch nearby to be able to hold down anyone for him, so he rotates out of lane and doesn't really gain much for it. Meanwhile, MJW sitting on level 5 now, had a little bit of space in lane, a little bit of space in the jungle, 20 CS. So FDL looking strong in this early going. ProDotA, of course, sitting on 1 and 3 right now. Sorry, 1 and 4. What am I saying? And this loss definitely will seal their fate. But were they to win, it can certainly keep them in the running. Visa sitting on treads. Bottom lane is actually right-clicking with some force. Catch a couple of decay stacks and has his supports behind him. And sure, ProDotA are wary of that fact as he's playing overly aggressive in lane. Magic Missile available. Bisa just gonna continue to throw some right clicks in, and top lane, come with me, throws out a cast, but MJW is nearby. They're even TPing in another, and they will cancel in that Stan King TP. But 0-4 now seen in the top lane. This can allow bottom lane to get a little more aggressive. Biver, however, just a moment ago TP'd out. 14 seconds until Omni Slash, and invisibility looks like it'll have more than enough duration for him to keep it, but 747 he's gonna opt to farm, and why not? Does still have that Omni Slash available to him in the future. Penguin check. Sitting on level 6 does, or level 7, excuse me, does have that marksmanship available to him and his comrades. But haven't seen any towers really be pushed all that much. Of course, there's had some abandonment in the top lane from the Radiant side. Jump forward, Omni Slash mid lane. Spin is there as well. Ping, he's gonna drop. Solo kill for Susie. 747 has been balling in this mid lane. Touched upon the individual skill gap between those two players, and certainly seems to be rearing its ugly head. Not that it's a super lopsided matchup that Ping should be dominating by any stretch, but a couple of kills now in that mid lane is a concern for ProDotA side, especially your Drow Ranger, who's the linchpin of this lineup. You know, you want to be able to take an advantage early on by virtue of having that Drow. And sure, Garter's farming well, 64 CS, second overall in the net worth, but this 5-man push lineup is very scary from FDL as well. You've got the Inner Beast, which is really all you need to help with the push, and then on top of that, you're going to have high levels from that lane and your chaotic offering always to lean on. But they'll get their first tower of the game here. 9.5 minutes in is a bit late for a Drow lineup, but of course Drow was not in the safe lane in this case. 3-0 for FDL. They lose the first tower, however. Garter picks up the Dragon Lance on Medusa.
Invisibility.
And it looks like they'll assemble for a smoke bottom lane. Level 3 Tombstone not available for 29 seconds. An interesting time to opt to smoke up here. Kefka basically baiting himself, has a Ravage available. Level 6 in this bottom lane, and they are going to shove in the wave here. Look for someone to grab him up. There's no one showing in mid or top lane, though. This may be a little bit obvious. Bisa, though, he's going to walk forward. He'll be the one to catch the Gust and the Soul Rip. Couple of right clicks. Chaotic offerings there, though. It'll connect onto 4. Bisa still surviving. Ravage comes out. Anchor Smash. One last right click will finish off the Vengeful Spirit. Come with me. Trying to juke away from 747. Won't be able to do so. Fatal Bond's doing tons of work to the entire squad of ProDotA. Now Kefka deep behind enemy lines will essentially play the sacrificial lamb for his squad. They even get Penguin check the Drow Ranger on the backside. And the axes come through as well with these Fatal Bonds. Garter getting down deep. Soul Rip keeps him up. They may just kill off Biver with the right clicks onto Garter, but the Fatal Bonds expired. They'll get the Medusa. Coming back for the decay is Biver, but it's 4 down ProDotA, and it just seemed like a bit of a predictable move from them, as Kefka was showing in lane, and just for whatever reason they just could not bring down the Vengeful Spirit, who proved to be deceptively tanky with that just the Helm of Iron Will. It wasn't the full H-Dom at that point, but Treads and Helm of Iron Will, you know, 1,000 around 15 armor was difficult to bring down. You rely on, you know, the precision or on the right clicks for a lot of your damage in that case, but unable to do so. And now FDL, we talked about them having some push potential with this Inner Beast, and it's only level 1. Swap back onto Penguin Jack. He's going to be in a lot of trouble. Gets the Gust off onto 3, however. Anchor Smash is there as well. Fatal Bonds are bringing Penguin Jack low. Mystic Snake will come through, and that's going to keep FDL at bay. Now Kefka over to the east. They'll see him with the strings from the Fatal Bonds, and the Hawk is there as well. And now even the creeps looking to find him. They'll get Penguin check with the Fatal Bonds. Now Kefka in trouble. They're going to have to Tombstone to try and break him free, but he's going to drop here. Stonegaze now going to pop out. The Primal Roar will keep the Undying back. And Stonegaze is essentially wasted. 747 dominating. They get the tier 2. They get a couple kills. They'll back out unscathed. Or at least alive. FDL in a great position in this one. And perhaps NA is not looking as easy as it did in the qualifiers to ProDotA at this point. 0-4. Out of the 4 position. is about to have his blink dagger, which is a huge pickup for his side. Jump in, you know, burrow strike the drow, and even if you don't kill her, just sit there under, you know, 500 value point in sandstorm and cancel the marksmanship. Takes a lot of damage away from this unit. Of course, Undying, Tidehunter, Musa, these are all great high ground defense heroes, so an advantage for FDL in this game is certainly not a death sentence or all she wrote for ProDotA, who will be able to find themselves a second or the final tier 1 of the game, as theirs should go down here nearly simultaneously. Well, when you're in the drow lineup and you have even amount of towers down at 14 minutes in the game, that's a bit of a concern, but this is one of the comeback mechanisms they can rely on. That is taking out Roche. They'll drop the tombstone on the high ground. And with the drow and the gush from the tide, they'll be able to bring this down relatively quickly, but is it quickly enough? Jumping up towards the high ground is Come With Me. Chaotic Offering is going to hit 2 on the back lines. Ravage comes down from the low ground and will connect onto 2, but it's simply just a zoning Ravage, or a Ravage that allows the extraction of ProDotA. And now FDL, they're going to jump right into the pit with the Wave of Terror. They'll bring this down quickly as well. They've got the Hawk Vision themselves. 04 with his blink dagger will jump forward and burrow into the tide and simply just keep them back. And now A just goes the way of Bisa playing the carry, who's almost got his Dragon Lance. There's a great siege tool for them as well. Vengeance Aura level 4 right now. Wave of Terror level 3, so this push is very strong with the Healing Ward and the Aegis. Chaotic Offering, of course, used there, is going to be 2 minutes on the sideline until they have that. So unlikely to see them go high ground here, but definitely see them take a peek at the top lane tier 2. And Garter already residing nearby, looking to build into his Lincolns after the Dragon Lance. But they just don't seem to have enough firepower for ProDotA side. You know, they're going to have to hit a Tombstone on top of a Ravage, on top of a Stone Gaze. It's going to be a difficult high ground defense for them when that time comes. But that time certainly won't come until FDL have Chaotic Offering. And that is still a minute plus away, so FDL just going to play it safe, take out the last tier 2 in the game. And as a Drow Ranger lineup again, 16 minutes into the game, you have all your outer tier towers taken out. That is a major concern, and FDL are in a commanding position in this one. MGW looking for some sort of opening in towards the mid lane with Aurora. He just knows using the Fog of War that even if his teammates aren't behind him there, ProDotA can't press forward, seeing him walk down those steps. Hawk is going to scout out Kefka briefly as he walks up to the high ground and maybe looks to get some Ancients. We'll see the cask though backs off towards the northeast and be able to walk out to safety, but this is going to mean, well, first of all, that Come With Me dies somehow. No epicenter used, so Blink Burrow, he may have just been low. But this is going to mean that Bisa with his Helm of the Dominator is going to be able to take out these Ancients, and he's already got his Dragon Lance completed and ready to fly out. Looking at a pretty rich Vengeful Spirit. Meanwhile, 747 in the jungle with the Omni Slash ready. It's just waiting for Ping to get away. Jump though, Manta style. Ping with a good reaction, however, the Manta had that moment of Sentry Vision, gets the Gust off, but 747, as farmed as he is, a nice cast coming through. Will save Kefka's life still though. Pingman check down on the sidelines. Assembling towards the mid lane, Chaotic Offering available. We're going to see FDL, at the very least, put some chip damage into this tier 3, and they can do that fairly quickly with the Inner Beast. Once again, Bisa with the Dragon Lance. Oh, no, yeah, he has an Iron Branch instead of a Dragon Lance at this point, so. But 747 still has the Spin available and the Manta, so should be just fine. And as Pingvin Check respawns, FDL will consider backing here. They'll jump forward. Kraken Shell will purge the stun. Kefka thinking about the Ravage there. Pass comes through. Bisa taking a bit of damage, but he does have the Aegis, so feeling fairly ballsy. He may just end up dropping here. We'll see if FDL... Oh, wow, the Shadow Word used as well by Stan King. We'll see if FDL look to support this. They may just give him up. Chaotic Offering will come out. Ravage comes out as well. Stone Gaze is there, and now the Death Ward rolling through. Swat back onto Bisa is going to keep him alive for now. The Epicenter will finish off Keka. Bisa survives with 20 HP. Now the Primal Roar coming out. They'll take down King Vinchak. 747 still standing tall. They've got the Chaotic Offering Golem with them. This will be the melee rack. Jump forward. Burrow is going to catch on to Kamui. Soul Rip is there, but the spin will finish him off from Susie. And the GG will be called, and ProDotA will throw in the towel, not only in this game, but in their hopes to make it to the top 4 and to the playoffs in these main qualifiers. So a